This is Get Sellers Calling You, and I'm Beatty Carmichael. Learn more at our website at getsellerscallingyou.com. Well, hey there, this is Beatty Carmichael with Get Sellers Calling You and also with Agent Dominator. And I want to do just a real quick introduction on this podcast series that we're doing on mastering geographic farming. This is actually a podcast or coaching and training sessions that I'm doing with a friend of mine named Isaiah Colton. Isaiah runs another company called Real Estate Nexus, and they work with high-end real estate agents and mastering on geographic farming. So I'm one of the participants on this coaching and training series, but there's a lot of other great talent, and I think you're going to get a lot out of this. This is done as a video, so if you're listening to this by audio, do know that this is an actual video interaction. There'll be some screen sharing and things of that sort. I think if you're listening by audio, you should be able to pick up at least 90% of the content without any problem. But if you do have a chance, please watch it as a video. I think you'll get a lot out of it. So this is a 4-part series, and it's everything from postcard marketing and the basic marketing premises to calling leads and how do you call them, how do you do multi-channel touches within a farm that just actually skyrocket your results. And if you actually take a look at what we do with geographic farming with Agent Dominator, where we guarantee your number of listings and your return on investment, or we will give your money back, you'll notice that the best practices that we base it on is what you're actually going to learn in this marketing series. It's not only getting a good farm, but it's also doing good marketing through postcards, which is what we do, and then good multi-channel touches that really just increase the overall impact. So you will get a lot out of this, and I'm so excited that you'll be watching it. Thanks for allowing us to serve you with it, and without any further ado, let me bring it on.
Thank everybody for joining us, and if this is your first time hopping on the sales and marketing coaching sessions that we do, what we do is we pick a topic and we take a deep dive in that topic, and then what I do is I bring in specialists that really know this particular area in and out, and then what we do is we come up with action steps to make sure that we can not only just have great ideas, but then something that's actionable that we can turn in to help us build and scale our businesses. And if you look at our sales and marketing secrets workbook, the whole idea is when everything is kind of when we're putting everything together and the whole system comes together, we want you to have and be empowered to go to 200 transactions and beyond. So anybody that I coach personally and that I work with personally, we're always having that conversation to say, if you choose to, if you really wanted to scale, do you have the right systems in place? And this is the key word, the key theme is, do you have the right systems in place, right? People, process, and tools to be able to go to the next level. And so a huge part of that is getting more listings. Within that, finding the right niche that makes sense for you. So we've been talking a lot about the niche of geographical farming, and we've been going through the 7 most common mistakes of geographical farming. And to continue this dialogue, if you haven't met Ron Mazza, he's my partner and broker record at ULM Realty. He's trained and coached thousands of agents. You have John Simonelli, who is all things professional services and product innovation, and making sure that we're constantly making our technology and offering and customer service better. And you have Mark, who's going to really play a bigger part of this conversation in a couple more sessions, where we're going to talk about prospecting and using effective scripts and dialogues to take warmer geographical leads and turn them into actual set appointments, right? And then we have Beatty Carmichael, who has really spent the majority of his career talking about ways to convert database on your database and geographical farm using postcards. So we have a really good panel here to take this conversation in whatever direction it needs to go. And for those of you that haven't heard me or see me speak before, my passion is sales and marketing, particularly on lead conversion. I believe our industry doesn't spend enough time talking about ways to convert leads, right? And so that's my personal passion. So with that, we're going to dive into the topic today, and I'm going to share my screen. And Beatty, does anyone remember the mistake from last week? What was the mistake from last week? Can anybody remember? And let's leave it up to our the people. Oh, we got April. Let's see. What did April say? Did she say what it was? Can you see Jonathan or no?
She said it was the messaging you're using.
Yep. She got it. She nailed it. So making sure that you have the big mistake from last week was not having, that's right, having the wrong message. That's right. That's what it was. So it's really, really important. And let's just do a quick recap. Beatty, what does that mean, right? If in a 5-minute recap, what does it mean to not have the right messaging?
So the right message is all about what is it going to take to get that person to actually pick up the phone and call you. And a lot of times the messaging that is the wrong message most agents do is the Me Too message. You can trust me. I provide great customer service, and all of these just very nebulous statements. And the message that gets people to respond are really those messages that fall into three things. Can you, from a consumer standpoint, can you help me sell my business, sell my house for more money? Can you do it in less time? And can you simplify the process for me? Mm-hmm. And so your messaging needs to really encompass those things that start to prove and qualify why they ought to trust you over someone else. Once you can do that, then you differentiate yourself above the crowd, and more people start to focus on you. And that's what branding is all about. That's what mindshare dominance is all about. If you've read Millionaire Real Estate Agent, this is really the key in any type of marketing. How do you get them to remember you? And you do that by giving them reasons why they should remember you instead of someone else.
Yeah, and we left off talking about unique value propositions and how in the three, we were talking about the 3S principle and the unique value proposition. So if we could, before we move on to the next mistake, I really want to make sure there's something that's actionable here when it comes to the 3S principle and unique value propositions. And we had the crowd ask us, hey, can we see examples of what postcards would look like with that messaging? And I don't know if you're prepared to do that this week or if you want us to come back to you on that next week, but that's what I had in my notes here, that one of the things that we definitely want to cover in this series.
Yeah, so we covered some of those postcards. Most of the messaging stuff we actually pulled up and showed postcards last session. The one thing we did not talk on was the unique value proposition.
Right.
So let me pull up, actually, let me see if I've got this easily on the website, and I'll show you what one of the things we do with clients, because this may help a lot. And,
and while he's doing that, I want you to, for our audience here, I want you to ask yourself this question. What makes you different right now? Like if I was to ask you directly and put it in the chat, what makes you different than all the other people in your office, than your competition down the street, or whoever you'd be going out to compete against in a listing presentation specifically, because we're talking about geographical farming? What is going to separate you from everybody else? And Ron, I think that after Beatty goes, it'd be good to talk about the difference between a UVP that attracts somebody on a phone call, right, to get them to call you, right, and UVPs that you use at the closing table, because there's different ones you want to use. So I think after Beatty, Ron and I, if you could, you and I can pick up on that conversation, I think that'd be great. Sure. So. But just ask yourself and put it in the chat. I want you to challenge yourself a little bit. I want this, really think, really what is it? What is going to make you different and make them going to want to work with you over your competition? What's truly separating you, right? And what we find is for most agents, it's a little bit too generic. It's not. There's nothing that stands out, right, in the consumer's mind. And so what happens is when we do our marketing, whether it be through an email or a video or whatever it may be, we're not ending our message with a call to action that's going to get them to want to actually do something or to intrigue them enough to want to reach out, because we are that different. Remember, this is different than referrals, right? Referrals is largely relationship based, right? And you have a little bit of an advantage there because they're referred to you. But if somebody doesn't know you and you're competing against 3 other people that are trying to stay in contact with you, you better have something different besides just an amazing personality, which I know we all have, right? So Beatty, pick it up from there if you're ready.
Yeah. Sure. Let me share a screen, so I'll let you unshare yours.
Yeah. Go ahead. Should be good.
Okay. Yep. So I'll let you confirm you can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay. So this is a site we put together to help with understanding what we consider a USP, which is the same thing as the UVP. If you want to go to the site, the easy address is just go to usp.agentdominator.com. That redirects you right over here. But the idea, and you'll get to see this video from a really handsome guy, but one of the ideas here is a UVP, a unique value proposition, is some type of proposition that is briefly stated that carries intrinsically within it an immediate understanding of the value that you bring to the table in at least one aspect. The way the UVP has worked is from a marketing standpoint, you want to give people a reason to always think of you. Now, Coca-Cola and Pepsi are horrible products to understand a UVP, but they're great in understanding kind of the messaging. Coke, the real thing. Pepsi, for a new generation. And what they've done is they've created those tags that helps you identify one versus the other. What we want to do as real estate agents is to create some sort of a message, a UVP, that articulates a value proposition so that when that homeowner sees it, immediately they put you at a different level than all the other real estate agents that they get marketing messages to from. So what we did on the site is from a lot of testing and working with a lot of agents, we created 3 that we find are pretty good, strong UVPs that you can just kind of plug and play, modify a little bit. This site is used to help people actually create a UVP, what they want to use when they do marketing with us. So hence a lot of the copy. But I want to just kind of walk you through at a high level these 3 things. The first one is this concept of I pay handymen and painters to prepare your home at no cost to you. And the idea behind that is, as soon as you read it, you go, wow. Okay, if I'm a homeowner thinking about selling, I'm looking around my house and making little notes of the things I need to do to update and fix up my house before I put it on the market. I'm going to start adding all this stuff up. I'm going to come to thousands of dollars, and then I get this. I pay handymen and painters to prepare your home at no cost to you. And instantly, I want to call that agent and say, tell me more, okay? Because for me, the value proposition is it's going to save me a lot of money, okay? So that's the essence of a UVP. I'm going to come back to that, but I want to show you these others just to give you an idea of how different things can be verbalized. So another one that Craig Proctor really kind of popularized and used for many years and still does in variations is what I'll call the guarantee UVP. Your home sold in blank days, or I pay you blank. Or as he's pushed the envelope, your home sold in blank days, or I'll buy it myself. Okay, so the idea is something that creates a risk reversal. I'm so confident with what I do and how I do it that I'll even guarantee it. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're in a seller's market and your homes are selling in 5 days continually, then this probably isn't a great UVP, because most people will say, well, so what? My home, all the homes sell in that time frame. But that gives you an idea of kind of how it works. Another type of UVP, which is what I call sort of a little bit more generic and less edgy for more the conservative type of real estate agents, is something that still sets you apart, but it simply still gives you a reason to promote something about you. Like my 21-step marketing plan sells homes faster and gets more money. Or if you were to modify this, if you looked at your stats, we talked about this last time when we showed some different postcards, but if you looked at your stats through the MLS compared to the average on your average days on market and your list to sell ratio, you could then take this and plug your stats in. My 21-step marketing plan sells homes for $6,300 more in 23 days faster than the market average, something like that. So you can start to do that. So then what these become is these become blurbs that you can put on all of your marketing, and every time your marketing goes out, you have your UVP stated. And then the rest of the marketing, like what we talked on last session, if you missed it, I think it's recorded, go back and look at it. If you look at the different postcards, you'll see that there's a common theme with all the content, and that common theme needs to point back to these UVPs. So that's kind of a UVP. Now let me, a couple of reasons. The value of the UVP is for two things. Number one, in direct response, it is the most important part, or a very integral part, of getting someone to raise their hand and take immediate action. Okay, so direct response, as we define it, is we use a special tracking URL that we get them to go to a website to find out more information. And as soon as they go there, our technology pinpoints the address so you know exactly who's thinking about selling. So what we'll do is we'll use a UVP like this. I'll just use this as an example, and we'll turn it into a curiosity process. We want to say something that creates such high level of curiosity with a potential seller that they will then want to inquire and respond, hence the name direct response. So the postcard might say, you know, I pay handymen and painters to prepare your home at no cost to you. If you're thinking about selling, even if it's 3 months out from now, the most important thing you can do is to get your home well prepared to get the highest price. How much do I pay? Find out, go to my website now, and I got all the details there. Okay, so now what you do is you create this curiosity that it compels a person thinking about selling to want to respond. So that's one reason that you use the UVP is it starts to, you can use it to create responses. And then the second is what I shared earlier, is it gives them something to remember you by, so that when it comes their time to think about selling, instantly they remember your UVP, which sets you apart from the crowd, and they think of you first. So that's a real quick synopsis on the UVP.
That's good. And Ron, what's the difference between using a unique value proposition to get your phone to ring or to get people to contact you off of a geographical farm and a UVP that maybe you're not advertising up front, but is going to help you close the deal when you're trying to get the listing?
Well, there's different UVPs, and certainly one that you're going to use in your farming and stuff definitely are guarantees. People love guarantees, and you know, put your money where your mouth is type thing, or whatever the case may be. But there's other UVPs that you're not going to offer everybody. You're only going to bring them out because it's like the last bullet in your gun. You got one more shot at this, and it's really going to create an excitement in a listing presentation. So, for instance, if you're doing a guarantee, you know, first of all, you got to find out, well, and think about, well, what does a consumer in today's real estate market, what would they want to be guaranteed at this time? Well, number one is everybody's busy, and people forget to communicate. So if you guarantee a unique value proposition that I guarantee, if I don't call you every week by any way, or I should say communicate with you every week in any way you want me to, be it email, telephone call, whatever, and if I don't call you every week, you can fire me immediately or call my broker and he'll give you a different agent. Things like that. In other words, I will do what I say I'll do, or I'm done. I deserve to work with you. You've hired me, my company, I don't deserve it. Or something like Beatty said, I mean, even in this market, you know, I can guarantee, let's say you're in a slower market, and I'm going to guarantee I'll sell you. A lot of people don't want this long listing period, especially in a downside market, which, you know, things are cycling, that, you know, it's sooner or later it'll change. And you might say, I'll sell your house in 39 days, or the rest of the time is free. You don't have to pay me. If I haven't sold your house in 29 days, whatever you decide, then, and I take even a 6-month listing, be careful, you cut your own throat, but if I take a 90-day listing, I will work the rest of this listing and I'll do it for free. I mean, that's huge. Now, you might want to make sure before, if you are not the broker of the firm, you might want to check with your broker if you start doing some of these things, because there might be policies or whatever. But the UVP that you're going to use in a listing presentation, it's going to be an objection handler style UVP. I'll give you an example. I'm talking to a for sale by owner, and they can't get off of the fact that they want to sell it themselves. They're going to save a commission. And basically, we have one here we use at ULM, which is basically, it says, okay, here's what we'll do. It's called the Smart Seller Program. And Mr. Seller, you seem pretty smart to me. Tell you what, let's have a contest. I'm going to list your house, but you still can find a buyer on your own. And let's see who sells it first, me or you. Now, if you sell it from a buyer that had no contact with any agent, me, myself, whatever, I'm not going to charge a commission. I'm done. You found the buyer, you win. Now, if you want me to help you with your seller paperwork, then I'm happy to do that, say, for a reduced commission, 2%. If I find a buyer myself, I have both sides, I'll do this for 5% instead of 6%. But if I don't find a buyer, we have a cooperative brokerage that brings in a buyer, then you're going to pay the full 6%. So, and you can put your for sale by owner sign right next to my for sale sign. I don't care. But let's see who sells it first. How are they going to say no? If they said no, they don't want to sell their house. They really don't want to sell their house.
Mm-hmm. So what about those people that are like, well, I don't want to be perceived as a discount brokerage, because that's not what you're saying, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, because we don't believe in that either,
no.
Right?
Well, I'm not discounting, because I'm going to sell it. I'm going to get paid 6% because it's normally going to be sold by a colleague, not by me. It's pretty tough to get both sides of the transaction in many cases. So really, and that 9 times out of 10 with that kind of situation, the seller doesn't even look for a buyer anymore.
Right.
So
right.
I mean, it's listed, but they have that option. They felt that they could if they wanted to, but again, if they do, God bless them. But I still make 2%. But I say, here's the thing: there's no discounting anything. It's a strategy, and not for anything. If I can make 2% of a $300,000 transaction to help the seller do the paperwork for themselves because they found the buyer. If I didn't do this, how much do I make? What's 6% of 0? 0. This is business. This perception of discount brokerages. It's not. We are a 6% in our area house. That's what we charge. Right. But bottom line is, I'm not going to leave thousands of dollars on the table because I'm afraid someone's going to make a comment about discount brokerage. No.
Right, because that's the difference between having a unique value proposition that's to the public.
Exactly.
Right, and one that is specific to a situation like when you're dealing with a for sale by owner, which when you're marketing a geographical area, you're going to come across for sale by owners, right? You're going to run into a lot of them. So make sure you're prepared to work with them and you have unique value propositions set up to work with them. If you go to theultimateliStingMachine.com, and you log in, there's a whole section that Ron trains on in there about UVPs, and we walk you through 11 different options of different types of UVPs, and even provide you the documents and the addendums to properly implement those UVPs and to use them and to kind of get them into your marketing strategy. So what my commitment is, I'm going to actually provide the document version along with a link to the course in the private Facebook group. So Clara, if you can keep me accountable to that, I'm going to provide that information and put that in the actual in the private Facebook group so you guys can get access to it and you get a full-blown training on UVPs, and we want to be here. So if you have any further questions about how to use them or what one's the right one, then let's interact and keep this conversation going on Facebook in the private Ren Success Community group. So before we move on, I want to open it up for some Q&A and get some chatting going. What questions do we have about UVPs?
I was about to say we got 2 questions so far.
Yes.
First one was they were asking specifically for Ron, which UVPs do you use and how do you use them? And then the second question was, how many UVPs should you be using? Is it just the one? Should you have 20? Should you have 30? How many UVPs should you use or should you have in your arsenal?
Okay. First, let me answer the first question. First of all, I personally, if I about 7 UVPs, and again, in our master class, you can see more of them. But the key is that what is UVP? Unique value proposition. It makes you unique. So UVP is not something that every agent on the block is using. They're unique to your business plan. So the key is that the communication guarantee, performance guarantee. If I don't perform, I don't get paid. In other words, these are unique value propositions that I will offer either in a targeted arena, in a postcard type thing, which makes me unique, makes me stand out. It's a guarantee. But I want to make sure that not everybody is doing it. I mean, you could come up with whatever you think you should do. But as far as how many do I use? Well, there's some that I'm not going to use unless I need them to handle an objection in a listing face-to-face presentation, such as the one we talked about just now with a for sale by owner. You may be talking to, let's say, an expired listing. There's unique value propositions that you don't know why are they not relisted, why are they not on the market. Once you find out what was it in their experience they were not happy with, you can make some guarantees, and you have to be ready to do that. But you have to make them so that they realize you're not stuck by a contract. Remember, we work with contracts. I'm not saying a UVP should let everybody out of the contract. What I'm saying is, if you don't perform to their satisfaction as you promised, then they should have a guarantee of some kind in writing, which they have not had. That's called makes you unique, so that in fact, if they need to say enough's enough, you're not doing what you said, then they can make that change at that time. So again, you could have 3, you could have 10. The bottom line is, what do you feel makes you unique in your marketplace, and it's going to help you help an individual. And again, remember, we're talking about listings. You can have them for buyers too. You can definitely have unique value positions for buyers, propositions.
Awesome. I think if I could add my 2 cents to that too. You want to make sure you have a unique value proposition that you can brand and put out in front of everybody all the time. So I would recommend picking one that you can sell out on, like that can be integrated with your brand overall, right? So it's going to go on your website. It's going to go on your business cards. It's going to be something that you want to be known for in the community. And it's going to be something that you want people that's going to create a conversation, right? So for us, and we've had to critique it a little bit, but a big one for us is if we don't sell your home in 39 days, we'll sell it for free. That's all over our website, our marketing, whatever it may be. But when we're going to go do a niche market, like a geographical farm, okay, we might switch up the leading UVP a little bit, potentially, if it's not going to speak to that niche. So the important thing is you want to have one that you can use for your brand, that you can associate with your brand. But then depending on what niche you're going to go into, I'm going to have a different UVP in a geographical farm than maybe what I'm going to do to market to my general database, potentially. So the biggest thing is when you're picking your UVPs, it's not necessarily how many of them, to Ron's point. It's, are they speaking? Is it something that's speaking to your audience, right? The niche that you're going after, okay? And then that's to attract them. But then as far as having unique value propositions that you use at the closing table, you got to have one to overcome every objection. So you got to, again, knowing your audience. So for example, expired listings, their number one problem is communication. If you ask them what the biggest problem they had with their previous agent was communication. So what kind of UVP should you have?
Maybe a communication guarantee?
Yeah, right. Well, I do, that seems too simple. All it is an addendum that just, you say, hey, look, I can appreciate that you had that issue and you're concerned about that. And I pride myself in communication so much where part of my customer service guarantee is a communication promise. And here's what I promise. And then whatever you feel comfortable. Another big objection that you get when dealing with sellers is, what's your marketing plan? Right? Like, or like, how are you going to market my home? Or that's what they're thinking. If they're not saying it, that's what they're thinking, right? Is how are you going to get them exposure to get the highest dollar amount? So what UVP could you have to overcome that? Beatty mentioned it already. That it's having a 22-point marketing plan, or whatever your marketing plan looks like. You want to have a UVP for that. One of the things I love is when I first started working with Ron, when we'll actually hand out our 22-point marketing plan, and it changes. So as our marketing changes, like the points go up, right? So like it's higher than that now. But what we'll do is we'll actually hand them a marketing calendar. This is why, and this is all Ron. It's genius. It sets us apart from our competition. And we're at the closing, when we're at the negotiation table, we'll actually say, hey, look, here's the 22-point marketing plan, and here's the calendar that we put together, so you know what we're going to do and how it's going to work and when we're going to communicate and reach out to you. And that marketing calendar, as simple as a tool that is, it completely separates us. It's very unique. It separates us from our competition, because how many people, there are people, but how many agents are actually putting a marketing calendar along with a 22-point marketing plan in their hand and making it very clear what they're going to do, compared to, I'm going to put it up all over Zillow, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Yeah, they're talking about it verbally, but they're actually putting their mind at ease, helping them understand that we're helping them understand the process, if that makes sense. And what we're going to deliver. And then also too, you got the commission objection, right? So we just spoke about a for sale by owner. You got to have a smart seller program, or something that's going to help overcome the commission objection in the event that you need to deal with that, right? You also have an objection to say, hey, look, my property is more of a luxury property, or maybe like they want special treatment because it's a little bit of a higher end home. So you should have a unique value proposition, that what we call it's a VIP seller program. So we put it on a document, and we show all the things we do for our VIP clients that we don't do for a normal client, which one of them is a Matterport walkthrough, where we're actually taking the Matterport and doing some special photography and 3D imaging and stuff that we might not do normally, and that's part of our VIP seller program. So to answer your question, is you have a couple main ones that you use to speak to the niche, but you also want to think of all the objections you're gonna get right at the table, and then making sure you have a unique value proposition that overcomes each one of those objections. And if you think you did that, you think you close more listings on the spot.
You're listening to the Get Sellers Calling You podcast. To increase sales from past clients and sphere of influence, or from a geographic farm, learn about Agent Dominator. We guarantee your sales in writing or give your money back. To learn more, visit our website at getsellerscallingyou.com and select Agent Dominator from the menu. And now, back to the podcast.
You're gonna definitely close a lot more listings. You're gonna get a lot of people. The classic blow off, right, Ron? Where you go out to the listing presentation, you had a great conversation with them, right? And then next thing you know, they listed with your competitor, and you have no idea why, right? Well, most likely they did that because there was one of those objections weren't truly handled and we weren't able to overcome those objections, and another agent was. And so I hope that answers the question. If it doesn't, we can keep talking about it. But all this is outlined in the training that we're providing for you in the masterclass. And I think that the link that was just dropped in there, we go a little bit more in depth with the training there.
Isaiah, remember too, the purpose of that calendar is how many people say, I haven't talked to you in a week. What have you been doing? Well, on the calendar, it says, remember, you have to do things. You don't it just doesn't appear. You're pushing the buttons, you're booting it, you're getting this plan together, you're doing everything. And it tells that seller, on Monday, I did this, this, and this. On Tuesday, I did this, part of my marketing plan. Now, again, I didn't talk to them, but they know every day I am touching your listing. I'm doing something for you. Maybe 2 or 3 things. It all depends.
Yeah, and that's really powerful because let's say you got to do a price drop. It doesn't happen as much in this market, because you got to be really severely out of whack with your price. But let's just say you have to make a market adjustment of any kind, right? Or whatever the issue is if you have that proof to show them on the calendar, it's also going to help you to work with them and keep expectations in line, right? And I think to your point, it's also helping you justify your commissions, even though we think we know what we do on the back end. We know all the work. They have no clue.
No.
And we can't expect them to. Sometimes we get offended, right? Like, oh, well, why should I pay you that amount of commission? Let's be real about it. If you don't know, it's our responsibility to educate them. And that's what I love about that unique value proposition is having the 22-point marketing plan with the calendar. It's a really powerful tool.
Yeah, just make sure in your marketing plan every 3 weeks or 2 weeks you have a price adjustment. It's part of your marketing. It's got to be in there. And this way they know, oh gosh, it's coming. He's going to call me Friday to reduce the price. Right in the calendar. So
that's strong. That's awesome. That's really great. Cool. What other question do we have on this topic? Did we have I think you said there was 2, Jonathan?
Yeah, it was which ones does Ron use and how does he use them, which I think he answered that there. And then just how many should you have? And I think, Ron, you answered that a little broadly, but what do you think for an agent just starting out here or even just a seasoned agent, how many should be the minimum that they should have to have an effective market, or even just how many should they have to have an effective UVP strategy?
That's a tough question. Here's the thing. If you have one that's really effective, makes you unique, it's branding you.
Start off with one.
That's all you need.
Start off with one.
Start off with one.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple for sure. That's really good. That's strong.
Is there any UVPs they should avoid or that are like pitfalls or anything along those lines? Or as long as it's a unique strategy or a unique feature that you offer, you can call it a UVP?
Yeah, I guess, again, it's unique meaning to them. It's something that they do. They believe in it. It's part of their marketing plan. Is there somewhere there's a pitfall? Hey, if you're always working for free because you can't do what you say you're going to do, don't use it because it's not working. You're being taken advantage of. But I think, you got to think these out. It's not something you can just come up with. You got to think them out.
I think professional photography was an example that I heard in the past of one that people like to think is a UVP, but might not be, because even if it's not professional, everyone gets photography done for their home to some capacity.
Hey, let me make a comment on that, because the UVP is not necessarily unique only to you. This is the key. The consumer doesn't understand any of the things that you do. So the UVP makes you unique in their mind. It could be the very same thing that all of your top competitors do, but you're the only one that's articulating it. So if you take professional photography, for example, I would, if you can do this professionally without getting hit by ethics committees, but let me show you what I would have done. So when we were looking for homes, I was looking at this home. The price tag was like $900,000. The photos online were taken literally from a cell phone, and they were womped and out catty-cornered, and the lighting was horrible. You couldn't see the room sometimes. The bright window, overpowered the dark room, and it was was cruddy. I mean, it was horrible. And I'm thinking, but hold on, you're selling a $900,000 home with this, excuse my language, but this crap of these photographs. And what you can do as an agent is you can educate the consumer that a lot of agents just go through with their cell phone because they don't understand the value of professional photography. And then I've gone through and I've interviewed 20 different professional agents, and I narrowed that down to only 2 that I will use because their photos consistently get the highest dollar amounts for their homes because they drive not only the most traffic of people seeing the house, but the most qualified traffic. So once you start to explain what I use professional photography means, now it sets you apart and makes you unique. Just making the statement doesn't do anything unless your statement can have intrinsic within it the value that it carries. A lot of times it takes a little bit more explanation. But does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
It does. Great. And I think that's one of the cool things about marketing. You can give more value in the mind of the client and do the exact same thing by just coming up with a cool way to word it.
Oh, sure.
And you're actually doing the client a favor, because here's why. If you do truly offer, let's say, professional photography, and I'm not saying this is the best language, but you call it something different that nobody else is calling it, right? And like professional photography using, maybe there's a camera that is like a high-end camera that has a cool name, or maybe you can use a term like 3D, or for us, we really market our Matterport, right? So like something that doesn't come across like, hey, that you're just saying professional photography. You can do something, and that's the art and science of marketing. It's doing where you do the same thing, but you actually put yourself and separate yourself from your competition because you worded it in a way to intrigue them to want to learn more about it. And because, to Beatty's point, the other clients, the other agents aren't even talking about that as a unique value proposition, they're going to be like, oh, this person is different. This person is providing a unique service. And so that's the key to any marketing, is to take what's commonplace, or what we would think is just what everyone's doing, and then finding a way to make it unique in the customer's mind to better educate them on what you're actually doing to serve them.
Let me make a suggestion. Right now we've got this pandemic, if any of y'all are aware of that going on.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And the fear is, don't touch me, stay away, okay? And so there's a lot of concern as well with a person selling their home. Do I really want all these strangers coming through my home?
Yeah.
What if they are sick? Okay. So maybe a UVP. This won't. You start with a UVP that says, what's the value I want to articulate? And then you write multiple ways of saying that same message until you get the one that's worded well, that really communicates. But one UVP is, hey, sell your home and keep your family safe by having no strangers walk through it in the selling process.
Right.
Okay, so as you're talking with people, you can throw that out as you're either in your marketing or in your listing presentation, and give people a comfort level why they ought to be choosing you first, or at least calling you first, than all these other agents that aren't promoting that. So that's just an idea.
That's good. I like it. Cool. Any other questions we have around the topic of USPs?
We got one more from April coming in here. She said, how many steps should you have on an average marketing plan? Is 21 steps the average, or would it overwhelm people? Or would it look like we're doing a lot for them? Pretty much, where's the line in the sand there?
That's a great question. So the most important thing is the fact that I have a marketing plan to such a developed degree that I can specify how many steps it is, sets me apart from everyone else. So it's not the number of steps, it's the fact that you have it. Because the fact that you have it shows that you're a professional, that you do things by process, and it's that process that consistently performs better than all those agents who don't have one. Mm-hmm. I would not have a 3-step marketing plan. Okay. But a 21 step I might, but if you really think about it, and this is how we actually came up with the number. What is your marketing plan to sell a house? Okay, let me just kind of run through a few things. You walk through the house and give suggestions, and those suggestions you're looking at paint, at fix-ups, light bulbs. Is every bulb burning? Is it replaced with the highest wattage? Every crook and crevice, take all the cobwebs out. Okay, looking at the floors, looking at the rugs, if you start to make a list of everything you look at, from outside to inside to backyard, from up in the attic to the HVAC, and you were to actually bullet point every single one of those things, you'd probably come up with, by the time you do all of that,
Yep.
plus professional photography, plus loading it to the website, and all the things you do to market that house, you're over 60, 70, 80 different steps in your marketing plan. So once you list it out, then you've now got a marketing plan. So that's where 21-step marketing plan, most people don't even have one, so it just sets you apart. So that's more than 3, less than 100, you're probably safe.
April
Yeah.
said that's really smart in all caps, Beatty. So I think she liked the answer.
Well,
Yeah,
I stole
definitely.
it. Yeah, you know, they say that in English, by the way, my operations manager is a English professor. Dr. Halloran is what her students would call her. I call her Melissa. In English, when you take someone else's ideas and transpose them, it's called plagiarism. And marketing is called research. So this is all research for my clients.
That's good.
I might
Well,
use
that's
that in the future.
Yeah, that's right.
Just don't research me and take my stuff exactly. Transpose it at least. Okay.
That's right. The 30% rule, right?
That's it.
No, but I think I think it's a really good point that you make, Beatty. And one of the things that you'll find is that when you I've gotten some kickback on this, is to say, well, this is not all marketing, and people aren't thinking about it the right way, because if we think that part of a marketing plan is just actually doing the marketing, that's not necessarily accurate. Providing a process and actually getting things prepared the right way, and all the things you do leading up to the marketing is part of your marketing plan, right? It's the people and the process and the tools all coming together. And so to expand on Beatty's point, don't think that you got to be trapped to just the actual marketing activities of the actual doing of the marketing. It's all the things that you have to do leading up to the point of getting to that level of marketing. And then they see the true value in the time and the money and the energy that you're putting in to do it properly. Just to add a little bit onto what Beatty's talking about. So
I like to also, go ahead, Ron.
What we have is we have a 55-point marketing plan, but it's broken down to business and marketing plan.
Yeah.
So your business portion is part of marketing, because you have to hire people, you have to pay people, if you're going to invest your money into professional photography, whatever. It's a business and marketing plan. And when you have something like that, then they also see that you're investing in them to get the highest possible price. You're doing everything possible and willing to put your money up front too, so that they get it sold, and that's how you get paid.
Awesome. That's
I'd like to follow back on one comment on some of these UVPs that have been thrown out, and I'll pick on the guarantee UVP only because it sometimes has stickiness that you need to be careful of. Mm-hmm. So 2 clients, they both had a UVP that basically said, your home sold in 90 days or I pay you $1,000. One client consistently paid $1,000 on every home he did not sell in 90 days. The other client paid 1%. 1 out of 100 homes that he did not sell in 90 days, he paid $1,000 on. Do you know the difference between those 2 UVPs and what happened?
One had a guarantee and one didn't, probably.
No, they both had the guarantee.
Oh, they both had the guarantees? Okay.
Here's the key. And so
I had a disclaimer.
Almost a disclaimer.
Yeah.
It was they had to prompt it. In other words, this guy over here said, if your home doesn't sell in 90 days, that automatically triggers $1,000 to you. This guy over here says, if your home did not sell in 90 days and you feel I haven't done everything possible to make it happen, let me know and I'll give you $1,000. And the simple fact of saying, let me know, it's up to you,
Yeah.
but you got to take the action. Most of the people, in fact, 99% said, oh, Stuart, you've worked so hard. It's not your fault. No, don't give me the $1,000. You've earned it. So
that's good.
As a friend of mine says, that's giving the sleeves out of your best. Okay.
That's funny. Well, actually, that's one thing we do too, is we say that we'll assign it to another agent, right? We'll assign the listing to another agent if we don't hit a certain guarantee. That's one of the strategies we used before in the past. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's good. Awesome. All right. Any other questions before we move on? This is really good dialogue.
Nope. I think we covered everything I've seen.
Okay, Mark. Let's talk about unique value propositions in the prospecting world, and when it comes to messaging. And let's just say that you're going to do a geographical farm, and I know you do this with the inside sales agents all day, because prospecting. Let's be real about it. Prospecting is a huge part, and having the right message when you're prospecting is a huge part of lead conversion. Right? We've been talking about postcards. We've been talking about posts. But let's be real about it. If you don't have the right sales language, starting off with prospecting, how does that affect conversion? So just walk us through how you see UVPs work, and basically any thoughts or recommendations around messaging when it goes to prospecting.
Okay, we're talking prospecting geo, correct?
Yeah, geographical leads.
Okay.
Yep.
So the first thing I would put out is be very, very careful how you use a UVP when you're calling a geo as compared to calling it for sale by owner and expired, because you are looking for momentum in a conversation, which is why you use a UVP. You're using urgency and value with that UVP when you're talking with a for sale by owner and expired. And when you come out with a geo, and that is, you have to have the right mirror and match and demeanor of a geo call when you're giving that, hey, we've sold maybe your UVP is over a 5-year history. We've sold the most properties in your neighborhood. Maybe that's your UVP when you're calling a geo. If the demeanor comes across really, really strong, they feel like they're being sold already, and that geo call is going nowhere. So if I'm using that with a for sale by owner, who I'm calling, who I know is already on the market, that's a different delivery of the UVP based on mirror and match. Right? So if I'm mirror and matching correctly, my tone and my pace is right, I feel like you can use any UVP you want. In a geo call, you have to be careful of the delivery of it so it doesn't sound like selling, because you're making those calls to get to know them for the first time, so that you're trying to develop some trust on that, and let them know about you. So I would be careful about the delivery. That would be my big point that I talk about.
I totally agree. And when we get into the actual the prospecting and sales part of some of the most common mistakes, I think that's definitely a huge part of it is how your approach to the initial conversation with geographical farming when you're leading in is going to be very different than if they were going to get a postcard, right? A postcard piece. And in fact, or maybe they're going to get an email or a text message. Mark, would you say that and Jonathan, would you say that making that prospecting call, do you think it's important for them? Would you make it the prospecting call first before they got some emails and text messages and some postcards or seeing your Facebook ad, or do you recommend making that call afterwards? Like there's a warm up period. So talk through that a little bit when it comes to letting your message get out there. So
I already know my answer for sure, but Mark, do you want to go first, or you want me to jump in on that?
Well, I think you can use two strategies. I mean, there's one strategy that says you could call first and then they would be expecting the postcard. And then there's another strategy which says send the postcard first so that you have something to talk about on the call.
I've always believed that nobody likes making cold calls, and the whole point of sending that postcard, that email, that text message is so that it's not as cold of a call, and hopefully it warms it up. I always tell my agents, if you're going to be calling anybody, even your sphere of influence, you hit them with an email or a text first, they now recognize the name, you're top of mind, that call goes so much smoother. Chances that they answer the call even go up if they're expecting or if they recognize the name, recognize the number. It's such a better experience from what I've seen. On doing that kind of approach.
Yeah. So let me expand on that. So my particular passion has been in the world of inside sales and prospecting. And in actually a lot of ways, us as a company and our strategy has pioneered the real estate market, and our ability to be able to take a lead, prospect, and convert it into a listing. Nobody's done it at the highest level as we have, and that's a bold statement, but literally, like, we've moved billions of dollars in real estate through our prospecting methodology. Okay. And one of the things that I adapted or I pivoted, I should say, to along the way is I used to be the guy. I'd pick up the phone. I'd have the raw data, right? And I'd just be blasting through the data. It's what I call now a dumb call, right? Like it's a cold call, right? But it's a call that has no intelligence, no strategy, and I'm just calling, right? And if you're really good on the phone, don't get me wrong, that can be effective. Like Mark or myself or some of the other people that have been, professionally trained and coach prospecting, we can have a conversation and convert that lead, but it's the hardest way to do it, right? And it's the least fun way to do it. So we've pivoted over the past 3 to 5 years to go more towards what Jonathan has been talking about, to let your messaging get out there and to say, okay, let's just say you have 1,000 geographical leads. You should be launching your Facebook ads, your postcards, your text messages, your video marketing, right? I think I'm direct to voicemail. You should be launching your the different channels of marketing, which we're going to take a deep dive in this series. You should be launching those things, and then based on and also the artificial intelligence, you have the AI. So based on that, then whoever's interacting with your content, right? Who's opening it, whose scores turned hot, right? Who's gotten some postcards. That's where your engagement starts. Now you're making what I call a smart call. And with geographical farming, it can be, if you don't do it that way, it can be trying to like find a needle in a haystack, right? Where you're just calling and you're making 100 calls, right? And you just, and then all of a sudden you'll trip over the one that is thinking about selling, and it's very inefficient and not a great way to do it. It can become disenchanting, if that's the right word. So I would recommend that you definitely let your marketing do some work for you and engage with prospecting as a follow-up strategy on who is engaging. Because here's the thing. If you don't prospect, okay, you can have the best messaging in the world, but if you don't have a process where you're actively following up, it's going to be very hard to get the ROI you want to get out of geographical farming. You're always going to get people calling in. You're going to have that low-hanging fruit. But if you're not following up with people that are interacting with your texting and your emails and that have gotten your postcards, you're going to miss out on a ton of business. And whether it's you or an inside sales agent doing it, somebody's got to be prospecting on that account on a daily or every other day basis. Okay. So I think we had another question come in while I was talking.
It was about if we go live any other days of the week. And for anybody who doesn't know, we do live prospecting. I believe it is all 5 days of the week. Isn't that right, Mark, that you have the team in there?
Yeah, we're 1:15 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Yep. We move it, because we do this training on Wednesdays, we move it to 3 p.m. on Wednesdays.
That's great. And Dvorka, if you go into the Ren Success community, we just put a banner up there. Okay. And the banner actually has the schedule laid out when we go live and all the different events that you can plug into. Because there's a bunch of different things that we just rolled out that I think will be very, very helpful. Okay, so let's just summarize here. We're at 2:15. I think we've had some great questions. You're welcome. You're welcome, Dvorka. So I think we've had some great questions. Let's make sure we have some action steps. My action step is I'm actually posting all these worksheets that we talked about. I'm going to post them in the private Facebook group. Okay. I think that the action step of the viewers, what is your one UVP? And Jonathan, if we could come back in tomorrow's session, keep us accountable, right? What was the one UVP that you're gonna run with to Ron's suggestion, and Beatty gave some great examples on the website, right? What's the one you're gonna lead with, right? At a minimum, and start thinking through the UVPs you're gonna put in place to help overcome some of the main objections. And we'll talk more about that in other sessions. Don't get me wrong, so we'll circle back around to that. But, so I think those are two good action steps. Is there any other action steps that you think we should do before we close out here? Third one is get involved. Join Mark's role playing in the morning and his live prospecting. A lot of our agents are starting to jump on. Even between 9, there's another one 9 to 10 o'clock where I believe Christina prospects live, and the agents are actually jumping on and using that as accountability to prospect with us, right? So check out, I think the final action step is check out all the times that we're providing coaching and training and support. Go into the Ren Success community and look at all those times and commit to one of them, right? To whatever one you think you need to work on, and have some fun with us, because just so you know, 9 to 10 o'clock, we're implementing the sales and marketing plan, and we're prospecting live. And then again, we go live with prospecting. Actually, Jonathan, could you throw it up on the screen while we're here? The Ren Success community, and pop it up on your screen just so they can see it. And then Mark, again, in the afternoon, is prospecting live with his team and other agents, right?
Yep. You don't have to prospect on an island. You can prospect with us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And it's fun. We have a lot of fun with it. It's lighthearted, right? There's some great suggestions in language people are throwing out. It's a ton of fun. It's a blast. So, are you good, Jonathan?
I was going to say, I am just trying to share my screen here. For some reason, It was blocking me there. Here we go.
Cool.
All right. There we go. We are in the Ren Success community right here. As you can see, we're live. And then you can always go back and watch any of our old trainings right here as well. Everything is recorded and loaded in here for everyone.
And then go to the calendar at the top if you don't mind.
Yeah.
All right. So this is what we got going on this month. So we have, if you want to do some role play, we have role play from 8 to 9 o'clock, where we could do some role play as far as prospecting goes. If you want help actually implementing the sales and marketing workbook that we put together and following that daily sales and marketing plan, we do that from 9 to 10 o'clock. Okay. And then we actually do have the group coaching live, which is what you're on now. So those are the recommendations as far as plugging in. And we would recommend that you print out your sales and marketing plan, and as you're executing on it, just know that you have the resources available to ask questions to make sure that obviously we're getting better together. So
ask questions and follow along in real time, not only with prospecting, but with all of the marketing tools there. You're going to see a bunch of different agents, including us, actually executing it right there with you. So
that's awesome. Yes. Follow along and just do it with us. Cool.
Exactly.
All right. With that, we're a little bit over here. We appreciate your guys' time. Take action on what you've learned today. Implement it. It's about the 1% rule, getting a little bit better each day and each week. That way we can take our business to the next level. And then the goal is to have all these different components we're talking about come together in your sales and marketing plan to put a rock solid system so we can scale. We can go to 200 transactions and above if that's your goal, or become more profitable. Make sure that we're working smart and not hard, all those fun things. And so with that, we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Have a good week, everybody.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe to it so you never miss another episode. And please like our Get Sellers Calling You Facebook page. Also, if you want to increase sales from past clients and sphere of influence, dominate a geographic farm, or convert home valuation leads, check out our Agent Dominator program. We create custom content that differentiates you from other realtors, then use it to keep you top of mind with your prospects with postcards, targeted Facebook ads, email campaigns, video interviews, and more. And the best part is we guarantee your sales or give all your money back. Learn more at GetSellersCallingYou.com and select Agent Dominator in the menu. Thanks for listening to the Get Sellers Calling You podcast. Have a great day.